It was an ordinary Tuesday morning when everything changed for Lisa. A nurse by profession, Lisa had spent the last 12 years working in a busy urban hospital, taking care of patients with all sorts of injuries, illnesses, and ailments. But nothing had prepared her for the day she would save a life, and in doing so, change the course of her own. It was a weekend hike, something Lisa did to decompress from her demanding work life. Hiking had always been her escape, her way of connecting with nature and finding clarity in the chaos of her everyday life. Little did she know that this hike would not just change her life in a personal way, but would also set in motion a chain of events that would turn her world upside down. Lisa was hiking alone on one of her favorite trails. The early morning air was crisp, the sun barely peeking over the horizon. Her boots crunched against the path, the rhythmic sound almost meditative. She had her earbuds in, listening to a podcast about neuroscience, trying to distract her mind from the weight of the week behind her. That's when she heard it, a sudden crack, followed by a loud thud. Her heart raced as she pulled out her earbuds and scanned the area around her. That's when she saw him, a hiker, not too far from the trail, sprawled on the ground. His face was pale, his eyes wide with shock, and his arm was bent at an unnatural angle. Lisa's medical training kicked in without hesitation. She rushed over to him, her mind already racing through the emergency protocols she had memorized for years. She asked him his name, and he barely responded, his voice hoarse and barely audible. He had fallen from a rocky outcrop, and it was clear he had broken his leg. The injury looked severe, and there was blood on his clothes, though it didn't seem to be coming from an open wound. He was in shock. Lisa checked his vital signs. His pulse was weak but steady. His breathing, though labored, was regular. She had to act fast. She knew there was a rescue team nearby, but that didn't stop her from doing what she could to stabilize him. She used her first aid kit, which she always carried with her on hikes, to stop the bleeding and provide some pain relief. She kept talking to him, trying to keep him conscious while waiting for help to arrive. After what seemed like hours, though it was probably only 30 minutes, the sound of a helicopter could be heard in the distance. Lisa breathed a sigh of relief. The rescue team had arrived. 2 medics jumped out of the helicopter, quickly assessing the situation. They were calm and efficient, thanking Lisa for her help, but Lisa didn't feel like she had done enough. She felt as though her efforts had only been the first step in saving his life. The medics secured the injured hiker and transported him to the helicopter for an emergency evacuation. It wasn't until she watched the helicopter take off that Lisa realized the extent of what had just happened. She had saved a life, and though she had done what any nurse would do, she couldn't shake the feeling that this simple act of kindness might change the trajectory of her own life forever. The following morning, Lisa woke up to the sound of her phone buzzing relentlessly. At first, she thought it was just a spam call, but when she picked up, it was her manager at the hospital. Her heart sank. She could tell by the tone of her voice that something was wrong. "Lisa," her manager said softly, "we need to talk." It turned out that the hospital had reviewed the incident in which Lisa had been involved the previous day, the hiker's accident. Apparently, the hospital had a policy that prohibited staff members from participating in non-hospital emergency medical situations during their time off. The reason? Liability and insurance concerns. Despite the fact that Lisa had acted in good faith, the hospital could not afford to be associated with actions taken outside their facility. Lisa was stunned. "Are you telling me I'm being let go?" she asked, her voice shaking. Her manager hesitated before confirming it. "Yes, Lisa, I'm afraid so. We appreciate everything you've done for the hospital, but given the nature of this incident and our policy, we don't have a choice." Lisa could hardly believe what she was hearing. She had dedicated over a decade of her life to this hospital. She had built relationships with colleagues, cared for countless patients, and now, just like that, she was being let go for saving a life. Her mind raced as she tried to make sense of the decision, but no explanation seemed to make it any easier. "I understand," Lisa said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Thank you for the opportunity." As the call ended, Lisa sat in the stunned silence. It felt as though the ground had been ripped out from under her. She had saved a life, but in doing so, she had lost her job. Just when she thought things couldn't get worse, she heard them, 2 helicopters hovering outside her window. The familiar sound that she had heard the day before, now echoing outside her home. She opened the window and the wind rushed in. The sound of the helicopters grew louder, and before she could make sense of it, one of the helicopters descended to land on the grassy patch in front of her house. Lisa's heart pounded. She stepped back, unsure of what was happening. Was this some kind of mistake? Or worse, was she being investigated? Before she could even process the situation, a man in a suit emerged from the helicopter. He was tall, well-groomed, and looked official. Another helicopter landed shortly after, and two more men, equally professional, stepped out. They were all looking at her with a sense of urgency. Lisa's confusion deepened as the man in the suit approached her. "Miss Lisa Harris?" he asked, his voice firm but not unkind. "Yes," Lisa replied, her voice shaky. "That's me. What's going on?" "We need to speak with you," he said, motioning for her to come outside. "You've become quite a hero, and we've been authorized to offer you something significant." Lisa stepped outside cautiously, still trying to make sense of everything. The man in the suit introduced himself as a representative from a prominent search and rescue organization, one that worked with both private and government agencies. "We've been following your actions during the rescue yesterday," he explained. "We were impressed by your quick thinking, your professionalism, and your dedication. We think you're someone we need on our team." Lisa blinked. "I don't understand. I'm just a nurse. I don't think I'm qualified for a rescue team." The man smiled. "You're far more qualified than you realize. We're offering you a position as a field medic with our organization. You'll be trained further, but your instincts and experience are exactly what we need." Lisa was taken aback. Not only had she just lost her job, but now she was being offered a chance to join an elite rescue team, something that seemed so far beyond her ordinary life. "This is all happening so fast," she said. "I don't know what to think." "We understand it's a lot to process," the man said, "but this opportunity doesn't come often. We want you to think about it." As the helicopters took off and Lisa watched them disappear into the sky, she felt a sense of both fear and excitement. In one day, she had gone from losing her job to being offered an opportunity she never could have imagined. She had saved a life. And in doing so, her own life had taken a completely unexpected turn. It wasn't the path she had planned. But sometimes the most unpredictable moments are the ones that lead us to our true calling. And as Lisa stood there, looking up at the sky, she realized that this might just be the beginning of an entirely new chapter in her life.